Hello. So the topic which I'll cover on database management system is keys in DBMS and integrity constraints. So why we need key in relational model? Now this is one of the model which we have in database management system. So relational, here the word, it refers to the table. So what is the role of key in a relational model? Basically a key is required to identify every row of a table or a relation of a database system. So why, second reason why we need keys in relational model is it identify the relations among different tables. If we have different tables, we can relate them by means of keys. So how we will relate the two tables? By the concept of keys. Then third reason why we need keys is to identify the constraints on the relations. Now the constraints, they ensure the integrity of the data, the correctness of the data in the database. So there are different types of keys in database management system. Preferably there are 4 types of keys. One is primary key, candidate key, super key and foreign key. So let us go with the first type of key, that is primary key. Now the primary key is basically used to identify every row of a table uniquely. Means every row must be unique. There should be unique, at least one attribute should have a unique entry. For example, if you see in this table, this is an employee table and these are different attributes in the employee table, and if we consider these attributes, employee ID will be considered as a primary key. Why so? Because every entry in the employee ID will be unique. Every entry will be unique. Other than that, we can also take passport number, license number and SSN number of an employee as a primary key. But for the time being, we will consider that attribute which is most preferably be considered as a primary key, which is most common and whose every value is unique. So this is about primary key. Next is, what is a candidate key? As we have seen in the previous table, that passport number, license number and SSN number of every employee is also unique. So they are equally equally competitor for being a primary key. So that is what the concept of candidate key. So the candidate key is the set of an attribute which can also identify every row of a table uniquely. So the remaining attributes which are not considered as primary key will be considered as a candidate key. For example, as we have seen in the previous table, that the employee table, the IDs we have taken as the primary key, but the remaining attributes which we have taken, that is the passport number, license number, they are equally taken to be as primary key but not have taken right now, but they will be act as a candidate key, although each entry of these attributes will also be unique. Next we have foreign key. So here is an example again, as I told. So we have passport number, license number and SSN number. Since these entries in these attributes for every employee, they are also unique, so that they will act as a candidate key, since already we have taken employee ID as the primary key. So the next is the super key. Now super key is what? When we add additional attributes within the additional attributes of a relation as a part of a candidate key, that becomes a super key. So super key is a set of attributes which can uniquely identify every tuple. So what is the difference between a candidate key and a super key? So here we say the ambiguity level has increased, so we add more number of attributes and we consider as a superset of candidate key as a super key. So if you see in this the employee table which we have taken as an example, along with employee ID, if we mention employee name, although it is not required, but still we have added an additional attribute to add up as a to act as a super key. So a super key includes primary key as well. So super key contains primary key as well. And the next is foreign key. Now this foreign key is very important. If we say, if we are to relate multiple tables, we have to give a relationship among multiple tables. So there is a role of foreign key. So if in this example, if you see, there are two relations, one is employee, second is department. These are the attributes of the employee table and these are the attributes of the department table. Now if you see, the blue colored attributes are the primary key. So primary key of employee table is employee ID and the primary key of the department table is department ID. Now this is a primary key. This is primary key of department table. This is primary key of employee table. Now how we will link the two tables? We will connect or link the two tables by the concept of foreign key. Now if you see, department ID, which is the primary key in the department table, has also been used as an attribute in the employee table. So this is foreign key here. This will act as foreign key in the employee table. So the department ID attribute, whatever the value department ID as a primary key in the department table, will map those values in the foreign key, which is the department ID in the employee table. So the foreign keys are the columns of the table which point to the primary key of the another table. So here we have department ID. You can also change the name, not only we use the same say nomenclature for both the keys. Here we can also represent a department number. We can also take department number, the name of the attribute here, but the role is here is same. So it always acts as a foreign key. So basically the concept of foreign key is to relate the two tables. So the next is, what are integrity constraints, why they are important in database management system. So relational integrity constraints. Now why there is a need of integrity constraints in relational database models? So first of all, these are basically the conditions. These represent some rules, some conditions which must be there and which ensures the validity of the data, validity, or which ensures that the data in the table is, in the relation is correct, and it follows the integrity rule. Okay. Now the second is, we have to maintain the integrity of the data. So whenever we are to add a new value, delete a row of the table, or to update any existing value in the table, we have to ensure that the data integrity must be maintained, that the correctness of the data, the updation, deletion, all these say the operations, when they are to be done, we have to ensure the integrity. So there are four types of constraints for data integrity. One is domain constraint, tuple uniqueness constraint, key constraint, integrity, entity integrity constraint, and referential integrity. So let's go with the domain constraints. So the first domain constraint is the check constraint. Now check basically a constraint which will check whether the value which the user has entered in the database, it lies within the range. So whatever the range we have given for a particular attribute, so that range of values must, within that range the value must be entered for a particular attribute in the table. So the domain constraint, it defines domain or set of values which are allowed for a particular attribute. If a user has entered a value which is beyond the range, then the database management system should issue an error condition in that case. So the attribute must follow the data types. So we keep the check constraint on the type of data which we have entered. For example, the user is given a data type of integer, but if he has entered a real number, then the check constraint will display an error message to the user that this is not correct. So the next, if you see in this example, here if we have given age as say the integer type data, and somewhere in the entry the user has entered A, by error he has entered A, so the A will not be allowed since we have given a check constraint on the age. We cannot put character in the age, so the age should be a number. So this is a SQL statement, how to apply the check constraint on SQL. So if we see, you can see the roll number attribute of the student table, the check constraint has been applied, and what it will check that the roll number should be more than 1000. We cannot enter any roll number whose value is less than 1000. So it will check. In case we enter any wrong value which is less than 1000, so it will display some error message that it is not within the range of the roll number. So the second constraint is tuple uniqueness constraint, or we call it as unique constraint. Now what is a unique constraint? As the name says, that the every value within the attribute should be unique. If we have given student ID as the unique constraint, it means that every entry in the student ID, the value must be unique, different. So this is correct. If we have applied student ID and we have given a unique constraint to this, so every entry in this attribute should be unique. So if you see in this particular example, if we have two types of two relations, relation 1 and relation 2, so we can see that relation 1, we have given a unique constraint on student ID and these 4 values are unique. This is correct. But if you see in this particular example, these 2 values are not unique, so the check constraint or the unique constraint will not allow to give same value to a particular attribute whose check constraint is unique. So this is how we will give the SQL statement for giving a unique keyword. So if you say the roll number of data type integer, and this is a keyword, it shows that the roll number entries within the data, those must be unique. So the second attribute whose values must be unique is the mobile number. This is the data type of the mobile number and the maximum size of the data is 10. So the third type of constraint is the key constraint. Now this basically, here the word key refers to the primary key. Now the primary key here says that it follows 2 constraints. One is not null, second is unique. These are by default. If we have assigned a particular attribute as a primary key, then these 2 are by default the constraints of the primary key. Means we cannot keep any value in the primary key attribute to be null. We cannot keep any value to be blank. Second is that the value in the primary key attribute must be unique. So these are the 2 key constraints of the primary key. Second type of key constraint is which relates to the foreign key. We call it as differential integrity constraint. Now what it says, that the foreign keys are the columns of a table that points to the primary key of another table. Means if we have used as a particular attribute as a foreign key, then its value must match to the primary key of the main table. So they act as a cross reference or the link between the 2 tables. We cannot change, if we have updated a value in the primary key, then the corresponding updations must happen in the foreign key of that particular attribute, and that which has linked the 2 tables. So if you see in this particular example, we have this table in which we have student ID, the name, semester and age. If we have taken ID as a primary key attribute, this is a primary key attribute, means every value, every entry must be unique. If this is a primary key, it means every value must be unique, and the second attribute is, the second constraint is, no null values are allowed. Now if you see, not null is followed. Every value, every cell as a value means we have followed not null. But have we followed unique as a constraint in this primary key? If you see these values, these 2 values are same. So it has not followed the unique as a constraint. So this primary key constraint or the key constraint which must be unique has not been followed in this particular example. So this is not allowed. If we put the same entry in the 2 cells, this is not allowed because all rows must be unique. So next, if you see how we put primary key constraint, how we give a particular key as a primary key. So we have roll number as an integer. Either you can give the keyword primary key here. So you just omit this comma and you write primary key in front of the roll number. This is the one case, primary key. You just type the primary key and end it with comma. So this is one way. Either you mention the primary key in front of the attribute where we have mentioned it in the SQL, or you can use the keyword primary key and within parentheses you give the roll number. So these are the two ways. Either you follow this way or you can give the primary key in the as the second way. So this is the keyword basically we use as a primary key. So it mentions that the roll number is a primary key. Okay, so the second, the fourth entity integrity constraint is not null. Already we have discussed that the primary key value must be unique and every cell must have a value. Every attribute within a row must have value if that attribute is a primary key. So we cannot leave any entry as blank. So this is because if the multiple entries are left blank, then it will violate the principle of uniqueness. So we cannot leave the two entries blank or more than two entries blank. So we cannot identify the different rows by means of primary key. So a table can contain a null value other than the primary key. So it doesn't mean that the remaining entries in the table should be, they are not allowed to be null. They can be null, but however that attribute must not be a primary key. So if you see in this example, we have employee ID as the primary key. So these are the three different values in the employee ID column, in the employee ID which is the primary key. But if the fourth value in the employee ID is left blank, so this is not allowed because we have used employee ID as the primary key. We cannot leave any entry in the employee table or the employee ID column which has been referred as a primary key. We cannot leave any entry blank. So this is not allowed as primary key can't contain the null value. So we have to ensure when a particular attribute or particular column or particular heading of a column has mentioned as a primary key, we cannot leave it null. We cannot leave it blank. And secondly, every entry in that particular attribute must be unique. So these are the two main, say, principles of a primary. So as we have seen that if we can mention this the roll number as a primary key, as we have mentioned roll number as a primary key. If we have mentioned it as a primary key, by default it can be not null and unique. But if we explicitly mention it not null and unique, it is understood that the roll number is a primary. So here we have explicitly mentioned the constraints on the roll number attribute of the student table. It should not be not contain null values and every value must be unique. So these are the spaces which identify that this should not be not null and every attribute be unique. Now the fifth and the most important integrity constraint management system on relational model is referential integrity. Now the referential integrity, it ensures, basically it deals with the concept of foreign key. So foreign key, as we have seen earlier, basically it is used to link the two tables. So if we are to link the two tables, we use the concept of foreign key. So this constraint is specified. So obviously if we are using the foreign key, the concept relates to two tables. So it specifies that the values taken by the foreign key must either available in the relation of the primary key or it can be null. So if we are using any attribute which is a primary key of the main table and used as a foreign key in the target table, it must be ensured that the values within that foreign key must be, at least they exist in the primary key of the main table, and if it does not exist, then we have to mention it null. So either they that is the main table where it acts as a primary key, or the secondly it can be null. We have to follow these two rules. It cannot be like if we have a value in the foreign key and it does not exist in the primary key. This is not allowed. So foreign keys are the columns of a table that points to the primary key of the another table. So basically it cross refer the two tables. It links the two tables. So how it will link? The values must be mapped and they must exist in the primary key if this value has been used in the foreign. If you see in this particular example, we have differential integrity. There are two tables, table 1 and table 2. Table 1 has employee name, that is ID, the name, age, and the department number. And in table 2, this is the department table which contains department number and department location. Now, if you see in the table 2, which is a department table, this is a department table. Department table, and this D underscore number, that is department number, is used as a primary key. Now this primary key has been used as a foreign key in the target table. Now this is the target table. Here the primary key has become foreign key. Now if you see, the values in the primary key in the department table are 11, 24 and 13. So if you see 11, 24, 13 are there in the foreign key of the department number, but value 18 does not exist. So it does not exist in the main table, that is in table 2. Table 2 is the main table. So 18 is nowhere in the department number column of the main table. So this value is not allowed, as department number 18 is not defined as a primary key value